presents a new upcoming class. Stay tuned. Sacred Bonds by Daryl Abdullah Kirk. Yes, Sacred Bonds, navigating the depths of Muslim matrimony and the family. You don't want to miss this one. Please stay tuned. Streaming on all major platforms right here on Sunnahfollowers.net.
Alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I'd like to welcome everybody to our class entitled The Sacred Bonds. The Sacred Bonds of what? One of the brothers asked. The Sacred Bonds of Marriage. The Sacred Bonds of Marriage. And I have been teaching this series for a few months now. We've covered the basics of marriage. Let me just ask a question. Pop quiz. Who can tell me what are the conditions of a valid marriage contract? Can anyone answer that? What are the conditions of a valid marriage contract? In order for a marriage to be valid in Islam, there are certain conditions. Just like in order for your prayer to be accepted, there's pillars. There's pillars of fasting, pillars of prayer, pillars of the Shahada. There's also pillars of marriage. What are the conditions of a valid marriage contract? Can anyone answer that question?
I can try.
Yeah.
Okay. So 1, there has to be a guardian for the woman. 2, there has to be a dowry. 3, you have to announce it to the people. 4, the woman cannot marry a non-Muslim man, and if the man is marrying a non-Muslim woman, she needs to be on the cusp of converting. She needs to believe that Isa alayhi salam was a prophet, and she needs to be chaste.
Okay, is that last answer a condition of a valid marriage contract? Or is that just a condition for men to marry a non-Muslim woman? Okay, who can help her out? I just want the conditions of a valid marriage contract. Anyone else?
The only thing that she left out is it has to be 2 witnesses, male witnesses, or 4 women. Now, the rest of it she got right.
Exactly. So in order for a marriage to be valid, there has to be a guardian. The woman has to have a guardian, and that guardian must be a Muslim. Okay, number 2, 2 witnesses if it's a male, 4 if it's a female. 2 witnesses if they are men, 4 if they are women. Number 3, the marriage must be announced. That's the whole purpose of that walima too. The walima, having the walima is to let, that way is, you're letting the people know that I'm married to this person. Okay. Number 4, there must be a dowry for the woman. And again, when it comes to the dowry and all of that, that's the job of the guardian of the woman, to help her to determine what her dowry should be. Somebody asked me the question yesterday, does a woman have to have a dowry? Yes, it should be something. You don't want to just give yourself away to somebody for nothing. I mean, come on. I can understand how a lot of the sisters who are elderly and who are older, who are independent and self-sufficient, are not in need of nothing. But remember, Khadijah was independent and self-sufficient and elderly too, but even she had a dowry. Keep that in mind, sisters. You don't want to sell yourself short. That dowry is for you. And we talked about how in the case of a divorce, if the woman is initiating a divorce, Does she have to give that dowry back under all circumstances? Let's talk about that. That's what I wanted to see if y'all remember. If a woman wants to initiate a divorce, where does that dowry fall in that? Can anyone remember?
Goes back to the person that she has the dowry from. If she initiated the divorce, that dowry must be sent back to that person.
Does everybody agree with her, or does anybody disagree?
I disagree with just, you have to be able to prove that he's not doing the things that he's supposed to do as far as obligations and different things like that. So within those aspects, then you don't give him back his dowry.
Okay, and that's the point that a lot of you Muslim women, that's why I went over that in the Met called Siddiq Tafsir class. A lot of you sisters don't understand. The dowry is given back if a woman initiates a divorce and the man was not at any fault. Let's just say you got married and you decide, well, I don't particularly care for this dude. I mean, he does his job. I mean, he's not a bad person. He fulfills his obligations and all that. It's just that I ain't feeling him. In that case, that's how she gets her freedom. She returns that dowry. So that's why you don't want your dowry to be too high, because you might marry a man and decide, oh, here's ED. He didn't tell you that his middle name was Ed, ED. Get it, Latifah? Nobody gets my kooky joke? Nobody got it?
Yes, I got it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you know, she married Brother Man, and Brother Man didn't tell her that his middle name was Ed, ED. So she might decide, okay, well, you know, gotta go. You know, he ain't all Ed. You know, he got Abdul in there too. He's got a mixture of ED and Ed and Abdullah, but you know, I'm just not feeling it, literally. Just not feeling it, literally. So in that case, she give the dowry back. But in the case where the man has been abusive to her, and this is what I want you sisters to remember, you're in a marriage and your husband has been beating you up, abusing you. He has violated your rights. He hasn't provided for you. He has not maintained you. He's not protecting you. In that case, you don't have to give that dowry back if you can prove it. If you can prove it to the judge that you were in this relationship and he denied, deprived, or violated your rights. Most of the women that I know who end up divorcing their husbands, they did it because their husbands abused them physically or mentally. You sisters should not have had to repay your dowry. That dowry was yours to keep had you proved that to whoever initiated the divorce for you. So remember, Allah is just. And I don't hear these brothers telling you sisters that. You know, I don't hear that many brothers giving lectures on the internet about divorce who mention that. The only one I ever heard mention it was two. I only heard two brothers talk about that. One was Dr. Ibrahim Durmali, and the other was Sheikh Karim Abu Zaid. Those are the only two brothers I have ever in my life heard when speaking about divorce produce that reality, that the woman only returns the dowry, you know, if it's a no-fault divorce on behalf of, on her behalf. In other words, the man is not at fault. So I want you sisters to keep that in mind. If you're looking to divorce your husbands because they're neglecting you, they're doing their responsibilities, their duties, you better be able to prove it. Keep a list. Take pictures. You know. Take pictures to prove the abuse, to prove the neglect, to prove how you got to pay the bills because bro won't do his job. Take a picture of bro laying up on the couch, sleep all day. And the house is in a shambles, the children in a shambles, and you got to go out and work. Take pictures to prove your case. And then you don't have to return the dowry. All right, just food for thought. So today what we're going to do is continue this series of marriage. We're going to speak about the sanctity in Islam of privacy within the home. This is another big problem. This is another reason as to why we Muslims have such a high divorce rate. And let's put this up here so we can see. Yeah, this is the PowerPoint. Give me a second. Okay, so tonight, inshallah, I'm going to be covering chapter 30 of the book. We're going to do the whole chapter. Chapter 30 of the book, Sacred Bonds. This book is written by one of my students, Brother Daryl Abdullah Kirk. You can buy it on Amazon, $13 is all it is, just $13. Please make sure you pick it up. And we're going to speak about privacy within the home and how we as Muslims, as a husband and wife, we should respect our relationship. Okay? Let's take a look at it. Oh, I'll take this down. We have this wonderful hadith that you guys hear me mention a lot from our Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, choose your friends wisely. Choose your friends wisely because they have the power to either strengthen the foundation of your family or crumble the walls that you built within that family. Powerful. This is a powerful, meaningful hadith. Okay? We have to be careful, guys. Our prophet told us also to choose your friends wisely also, because a man takes on the religion of his friends. He's also said, choose your friends wisely, because a person, assimilation brings about association. So we have to be very careful who we allow to get close to us, especially within our families, within our marriages. And this is what leads to a lot of divorce. A woman might get angry at her husband. And so what are you going to do? Call up your friend and you call yourself venting. You're going to call your best friend up and tell her, oh, this man made me so angry today. You know, I asked him to bring home 2 steaks. He brought home 1. Oh, he makes me sick. He's always doing this. He's always doing that. You're discussing your marital problems, you know, with someone who can't help you. Or your brother, you know, you're sharing with your friends. Oh, this sister, man, this sister get on my nerves. This sister this sister that. First of all, let me let you guys know this is a form of backbiting. What is backbiting? Backbiting is to say something about a person that they would not like in their absence, whether it's good or bad. So your husband wouldn't like you discussing with your friend what goes on between you and he in your home. Your wife would not like it if she knew that you were discussing with your friend what goes on between you and she in the home. If you're having marital problems, Islam teaches us what to do. If you're having marital problems, you don't take it to your friends because your friends can't help you. You take it to a person that can help you, a person that will be able to go to your husband and tell him, look, Aki, you shouldn't have done this. Or go to your wife and say, look, sister, you shouldn't have done this. You take it to an imam or someone that counsels marriages, or take it to your father-in-law so he can talk to his son about it, or your mother-in-law so she can talk to her daughter about her problem. You may think that your friends are supportive, but you never know the evil that lurks in the heart of another person. Maybe your best friend, you done talked about your husband so much with her. You done told her about what goes on behind closed doors, how he brings you flowers every Friday, how he touches you, how he surprises you. So maybe she's wishing that she had a man like that. Maybe she's wishing that he was her man. You're telling your friends about your wife, how she cooks for you, how she massages your back, how she keeps the house clean, how she does this for you and that. Well, maybe your friends have a miserable woman that they married to, and they looking at your wife, wishing that she could be theirs. This is what leads to hasad, or people wishing for your destruction, people wishing for the downfall of your marriage. So Islam teaches us to not take our business outside the house. That's why I tell you, sisters, you got to stop posting up on Facebook how your hubby, my hubby, look at what my hubby did for me. And you're going to put up some flowers. Look at me and my hubby at the zoo together. Look at me and my hubby hugging and kissing together. There's a lot of women out there who are unhappy, and they can wish evil upon you. They can wish unhappiness upon you. So this is why Islam teaches us that what goes on in a man's house and a woman's house behind closed doors, it stays behind closed doors. We have a hadith where the prophet said, I was told that some of you men like to talk about what you do at home with your wives. And I heard that some of you women like to talk about what happens with your husbands. He said, this is wrong. This is haram. You know, we don't do that. I remember one time, some brother wanted to marry me. And I remember one of the things he asked me, he said, I don't need any drama. I don't want no drama in my life. I said, nobody wants drama. I don't want none either. And I remember he said, you're not one of those women who, when you get mad at me, you're going to call the imam and, oh, brother did this, brother did that. Or you're going to call your mother. I said, are you kidding? Have you listened to my lectures on the internet? I'm one of those women that's always telling women to cut that crap out. Because guess what? I'm one of those type of women. If a dude did that to me, he wouldn't have a tongue. I don't play that stuff either. You know, anyone who fears Allah should know, guys, what goes on in your house is your business. That's between you and your husband. It ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. Now, if he was beating you up or something like that, that's different. If you and him have petty little arguments, that ain't nobody's business. It ain't nobody's business that we argue over which way to squeeze the toothpaste. It's not nobody's business that we argue over who's gonna wash the dishes tonight. That ain't nobody's business. That's petty. But now if he was beating you in your head, choking the life out of you, abusing your children, raping your daughter who's not here, that's different. But petty stuff, we got to keep it in the house. You get mad at your husband, so you better go and make 2 rakats. You get mad at your husband, you better go for a walk on that treadmill. But sharing the things that make you angry with your friends and your family, because even your family, you don't talk about that type of stuff too. Does everybody understand that? This is one of the number one reasons as to why divorce is so great amongst the Muslims today, because we can't shut up. We act just like the non-Muslims. We want to go on social media and post up the flowers and the hugs, the kisses, and the vacations. Look where we are. We're in the mountains. That ain't nobody's business that he took you to the mountains. And you definitely have to be careful with your friends, because your best friend will become your worst enemy. You will be sitting there telling your best friend about how good your husband is to you. And then one day you will come home from work and you will find your best friend sitting on your husband's lap saying, "Assalamu alaikum, sis, we're co-wives now." Y'all better be careful of that. That happens every day. Remember, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "A man is upon the religion of his friend. So let one of you look at whom you decide to be friend." You should know your friends. Know when to hold and know when to fold. Certain things we don't share with them. My marital life is off limits. What me and my hubby do, off limits. We can talk about the deen. We can talk about raising and cheering. But what hubby do for me and what I do for him ain't nobody's business. So we have to be careful who we associate with, and we have to be super careful who we open up our mouths to. Because again, best friends often become the worst enemies, especially in Islam. You'd be surprised how many women were best friends and then they became enemies because the husband married the best friend. It happens at least 50 times a day. Okay? So Islam advocates privacy and caution regarding publicizing your personal affairs and the tendency to boast about our relationships or to excessively showcase our family. You know, it opens the door to envy, jealousy, malice, and even harm. And there's many verses of the Quran that echo this. For example, Surat al-Hujurat. In Surat al-Hujurat, Allah advises, us against this behavior. He advises us against suspicion and spying and backbiting and sharing information that shouldn't be shared with others. We need to take heed to those verses of the Quran, and we need to take heed to what our prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. If we follow the guidelines set by Allah in the Quran, and if we role modeled, if we modeled after the role of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then we wouldn't have such a high divorce rate. Okay? We have a hadith here where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised on the importance of sincerity and humility. He cautioned against sharing too much information. He also cautioned against boasting and bragging, over glorifying, over praising yourself or others. We have a hadith whereas Abu Bakr tells us that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam overheard a man praising another man. And the Prophet said, shame upon you. You've broken his neck. He said, if you have to praise one another, do it in a way without saying that this person is the best, but instead say, this person, what I know of this person is only good. Does everybody understand? You don't go around saying that this is the best person in the world. She's the most beautiful wife. She's the most perfect mother. She's the best cook. She's the best, the best. You're praising and glorifying her. You don't know who's listening. Somebody else will go back and tell their husband, Sister so-and-so said that Sister so-and-so is the best cook. She's the best mother. She's the best. She's the best. And you done stirred up something in your husband's heart because you're not the best. Nobody is the best. The best only belongs to Allah. Allah owns the best, not us. And this is why Allah tells us in the interpretation of the meaning, O you who believe, do not allow one people to ridicule another, because perhaps the one you ridicule is better than you. Nor let one woman make fun of another woman, because the one you make fun of may be better than you. And do not insult each other, and do not call each other by offensive nicknames. So again, you can see here, Allah is telling us it's all about balance. It's all about balance. You don't want to talk bad about a person, nor do you want to over glorify a person. We have to strike the balance in our relationships with each other. Because again, you don't know the evil that may lurk in the heart of someone else. So we have many laws in Islam that protect the family, such as not spying, not backbiting, not sharing what goes on behind closed doors. We also have rules such as no gossiping, and be careful of curiosity, because curiosity always kills the cat. Allah tells us in the Quran, O you who believe, avoid negative thoughts. Indeed, some assumptions is sinful, and do not spy or backbite one another. Would any of you like to eat the flesh of his brother when dead? So again, don't think the worst of each other. Don't be so curious as to what's going on in his house, what's going on in her house. How is her husband able to do that? How is his wife able to do that? How did their children get to have this? This stuff destroys us. It destroys our relationship with each other. And that's another reason why you sisters, and Allah points out the women, because women like to boast more than men. We sisters have to be careful about talking about what goes on with our husband. We have to stop it. We have to stop all that posting on social media. I remember a few years ago, one of the sisters here, used to come to my website. She doesn't come anymore. Her whole life went crazy. You know, got married. She had married a nice brother. And I told her, don't be boasting and bragging all the time about what he does for you. She thought I was being, jealous. I said, no, I'm telling you as your teacher. I told her on Facebook, she put pictures of, he bought her a broom, something like a Swiffer. Look at the Swiffer my husband bought. Had a picture of the Swiffer. Look at this steak dinner that my husband made me. A picture of the dinner. Look at this beautiful card my husband gave me. She had a picture of the card. And I would tell her, stop doing that, because you never know the evil of others. She didn't listen. And what happened? Her greatest fear. A year after being married, she finds out that her husband had not another wife, he had 2 other wives that he had married right after her. But he kept it secret from her because he knew what her reaction would be, because he knew that she was all over him. What happened to that woman? He ended up divorcing her because she acted crazy. And I haven't seen her no more on this website since. We have to be careful. Everything has its place. Social media is not the place for you women to boast and brag about your relationships. Remember, Shaitan, the Ephraim, they are the worst of the jinn. They come out at night and they try to destroy marriages. You're posting on social media the steak dinner your husband made, the card he left you on the pillow. The jinns are looking at that and they're going to come. You're just inviting them to enter into your home and cause your marriage to be destroyed. So we have to be careful of that, guys, especially us women. So again, the Quranic verses and the hadiths of our prophet, Sunnahfollowers alayhi wasallam, they help us to overcome the problems of a failed marriage. Like I tell you sisters all the time, there is nothing that we experience today that hasn't already been experienced by those companions. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us how to not only have a healthy marriage, but he also taught us how to seal that marriage and close it up to the rest of the world. We just have to learn what he said and live by what he said and not allow society to change our way of thinking. And we have to be very careful of who we allow to get close to us, especially when it comes to your marriage. You don't allow anyone to get close to you and your husband. If you sisters don't know that, something's wrong with you. You don't allow no one to come between you and your husband. The husband is off limits. What he do for me ain't none of your business. What goes on between us, I can deal with it. I ain't gonna sit here and tell you what our problems are. You ain't gonna get no feedback from me about my man. And he better not be giving you none about me. That's the attitude you women have to take if you want to keep your marriages, strong and healthy. But again, if he's abusing you or violating your rights, even then, you don't go tell it to your best friend. You better get on the phone with an imam who specializes in marriage and divorce and talk to him, because your husband ain't gonna listen to your best friend. He'll listen to another man of authority, though.